Welcome to the Living Room's volunteer orientation presentation. My name is Erin Lindley, Community Outreach Coordinator for Living Room. I will be your guide through the orientation today. Let's start with a brief overview of what we will be covering in these slides. We'll start with a quick introduction about who we are, and then move on to our vision and mission. We will next cover our programs and services. This section will be a bit lengthier. After that, we will go over Living Room's guidelines and policies for volunteering to ensure a safe and fun work environment for everyone involved. Finally, we will end with some required legal information. One important note, there will be a short quiz at the end of the presentation to make sure that you have seen and understood the materials presented. Don't worry, it's short and you're not being graded. Alright, let's begin with the introduction. Welcome to the living room. First and foremost, we want to let you know how thankful we are that you've decided to donate your time to helping those living with HIV/AIDS in Georgia. As a living room volunteer, you will be partnering with staff to implement Living Room's mission and expand our ability to serve people living with HIV/AIDS throughout the Metro Atlanta and Northwest Georgia region. Here is a little information on who we are as an organization. So, we are a community of staff, volunteers, and supporters who strive to provide the best possible supportive housing services for low and moderate income people who are living with HIV/AIDS. Now we'll move on to our vision and mission. Our vision: to end homelessness for people living with HIV/AIDS in Georgia. Our mission: to ensure that people living with HIV/AIDS in Georgia obtain and maintain long-term, stable housing. Before we move on, here's a small side note about why we focus so much on housing. Living Room operates under the Housing First approach. This approach focuses on providing permanent housing solutions to those who are experiencing homelessness. Once these individuals have stable, permanent housing, they will then be able to pursue personal goals to advance their positions and improve their quality of life. This model is evidence-based and has shown to be successful in a large number of studies. Now on to the meat and potatoes section of what we do, or our programs and services. To accomplish our mission and vision, we have created 8 core programs to assist our clients. We have also cleverly come up with many complicated acronyms. Hence this little cartoon I have added at the top right corner. You don't have to learn all these. We just want you to know there are many different ways we help families and individuals find permanent, supportive housing and other services. Lodging is a program we have to make sure any homeless individual or family living with HIV/AIDS who come to our office will be offered an immediate housing option. Housing placement can last up to 60 days. Our case managers work closely with these clients to find long-term, stable housing. Our supportive housing referrals use a centralized intake approach, which is at the core of all our operations. This approach is a research-based method shown to be an effective and efficient way to link families and individuals to appropriate services. The cartoon pictured shows how centralized intake helps to streamline and reduce the cost of providing clients with transitional or permanent housing, along with any additional services they may need down the road. Engagement and follow-up with clients by our case managers is especially important because identifying barriers, collaborative problem solving, and alliance building are important for achieving positive outcomes. The TBRA, or Tenant-Based Rental Assistance Program, focuses on ensuring that individuals and families living with HIV/AIDS maintain stable housing situations. We provide monthly rental subsidies for up to 2 years and a caseworker who will work with the client to coach them on increasing and managing their income. Our case managers take a holistic harm reduction approach by helping clients with non-housing issues, such as healthcare, education, and employment. The Special Needs Housing Assistance Program, or SNAP, is a program that is specially designed for those who are living with HIV/AIDS, as well as a mental illness, substance abuse issue, or who are transgender. This is a residential program that houses these individuals for up to 2 years. First month's rent refers to our offer to cover a client's first month's rent when safe and stable housing has been secured. This is important as most housing requires first month's rent along with a deposit before moving in. And our assistance helps break down this barrier, which often keeps individuals from finding a home. Another great acronym, STROMU, or Short-Term Rent, Mortgage, and Utility Assistance, is a program that is part of the Department of Housing and Urban Development's approach to end homelessness. It helps individuals by providing them with rent, mortgage, or utility payments. Our case managers continue working with clients by providing them with the financial coaching so that they can best manage their current funds. We also assist our clients who have no home to return to after being discharged from the hospital by providing them a place to stay for 60 days with our recuperative care program. Our case managers aid these people in finding more stable housing, as well as other basic necessities. This is quite important as many of these individuals require additional care in recuperating and will land back in the emergency room without stable housing. Finally, our case managers provide housing counseling to our clients. This includes, but by no means is limited to, providing them with a list of affording housing or rentals, how to apply for housing choice vouchers, budget training and finance counseling, referrals to other agencies such as furniture banks. Now we'll get into our specific guidelines and policies that you'll need to know before we begin working together. We need you to complete the following forms before volunteering with us. The media consent form allows us to use your likeness, voice, actual name, and biographical material in photographic or electronic reproductions. We will go over the liability waiver and release much more when we reach the legal section. You will also need to carefully read and sign to acknowledge your receipt of our confidentiality policy and volunteer guide. All these forms have been sent to you and must be signed and sent to me, Erin Lindley, prior to volunteering. Now, we're going to cover a few of the general guidelines. So, basically, be respectful of this job and treat it as you would any professional opportunity. You're an ambassador for Living Room, so conduct yourself in a professional manner. Maintain a clean and neat appearance and let your supervisor know as soon as possible if you will be late or unable to be present for your activity. In the event that your volunteer position does have you interact with our clients or any of their personal information, it is important to keep all of this confidential. You will read more about how to do this in the confidentiality agreement document to be read and signed before volunteering. A couple of procedures to highlight. Complaint resolution. Please do not hesitate to let a supervisor know if you have any complaints. We want to ensure a positive environment and experience for everyone involved, and your input matters. Reimbursement of expenses. There are generally very few situations where this would apply. However, if the situation does arise and you incur out-of-pocket expenses, you can be reimbursed. Please note that these must be approved by your supervisor. You can't suddenly drop a bill on us. Now, for a few policies. If you are of legal age and have one drink at an event, that is permissible, but do not exceed this limit. Otherwise, all our activities are drug-free environments. Any volunteer caught or suspected of purchasing, transferring, using or possessing illicit drugs or prescription drugs in any way that is illegal is subject to dismissal and permanent exclusion from volunteer activities. Harassment in any form is illegal. Any volunteer who feels harassed or unsafe should speak to his or her volunteer supervisor, executive director, or other living room staff. These conversations will be held in the strictest of confidence. Finally, we are a C3 organization, and as such, we remain nonpartisan and have a non-proselytizing policy. Therefore, volunteers are prohibited from supporting or endorsing political parties or candidates for office while engaged in living room activities. Volunteers must also refrain from advocating or proselytizing for political, social, and/or religious beliefs while performing their roles. Okay, here's where we will be talking a little bit more about liability. We'll try to be somewhat brief with these slides, as you can also view this presentation again. Plus, this information is all available in the copy of our volunteer handbook that you have been sent. What's most important to note here is that liability is based upon the personal acts of a person. So, in addition to living room, you may also be held liable for your actions. As mentioned previously, you are required to sign a waiver and release of liability before serving the agency. The waiver states that you will agree to assume the risk of any accident or injury to person or property which may sustain in connection with your participation with living room. The waiver also states that you agree to release and discharge living room and any of its directors, officers, employees, partners, affiliates, and successors from any and all liability or responsibility for any such accident or injury. I'm sure it's been getting a bit boring, so I added another cartoon. If you happen to drive your own vehicle for any business conducted on behalf of Living Room, your personal automobile insurance policy is primary in the event of an accident. This is the end of the presentation portion of the volunteer orientation. Now you will need to complete a short quiz to show your understanding of the material. As previously mentioned, these aren't graded. You will see a button where you can hover your mouse and you should be able to follow the link to the quiz. As a reminder, you also need to sign the copies of our media consent form and liability release form, and then carefully review and sign the confidentiality policy and volunteer guide. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I have provided my contact information at the bottom of the slide if you do not already have it. I will be in contact with you in the days leading up to your volunteer position to provide any pertinent information needed. Thank you for taking the time to view the presentation, and we look forward to working with you.